Hey everybody, Jason Freedman here. Welcome back into the Wolf Den. So today I've got a very special guest, Mark Angelone with Movement Mortgage. The relationship between a realtor such as myself and a lender is absolutely crucial. If you don't have somebody you trust to introduce to your clients as a real estate agent, you're already behind the eight ball. So we also have Bomba Tacos in Newtown. It's Taco Tuesday. Looking to promote some local businesses here. It smells too good to be true. So shout out to Bomba Tacos in Newtown. Like to introduce my guest, Mark Angelone, Movement Mortgage.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. This
Absolutely.
is awesome.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
8 years.
8 years. Did our first deal together in the business.
Oh my God. It's so Mark and I broke into this business at the same time, right? I mean,
Yep.
pretty much.
2017, 2018.
Do you remember which month you were licensed in?
No, I think it was September 2017.
Okay. All right. So I was November 2017. So Mark and I, as you can tell, we're super young and energetic, which I feel like in this business, I think that means a lot. I think just the hustle that you and I bring to the table, I think is huge. I mean, I look at so many other agents in our business, and I'm sure a lot of lenders that, might be great at what they do, but the 24/7 hustle it's real. And if you don't have it, I think your clients are so far behind where they have to be.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the average loan officer is 55.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
take it for what it's worth. But when I'm 55, like, I don't want to be answering the phone 24/7. So I get it.
I want to be retired.
You know what I mean? So, like, right now, we're working as much as we can.
Yeah.
I got no kids, not married yet, a couple weeks, but we're working our asses off. We got a full service team, as you know, team of 4 of us. So people are doing pre-approvals as we speak.
Yeah.
So that helps, and it's been a great ride.
Yeah. Now, as Mark mentioned, I'll be at his wedding. What is it? 2 weeks from now?
It's a little under 3 weeks.
Okay, so about 2.5 weeks. So this guy's getting married.
It's true.
And I reach out to you constantly, and I know I'm not the only ones. I mean, you have, God, who knows how many realtors that are sending you business left and right, and you're always there. I mean, so it's you, and you have your team, and I can tell you from a real estate perspective that I've dealt with other lenders, and most of them are good. Whether it's the major banks or these other brokers that are out there, and there's so many times where I can't get an answer from somebody. I need closing costs. I need an updated pre-approval. My buyer has a question. My seller might have a question about a buyer that we're about to sign with, and they just do not respond. It's almost like Friday at 3 p.m. hits, the banks quit for the weekend. You can't reach them until Monday. So, maybe just talk about your availability, your team that you have, and kind of like your process.
Yeah. So the way we have it set up is typically I'm introduced to a buyer from a real estate agent like yourself. Hey, Mark, it's usually a group text or a phone call. This is so-and-so. They're looking to buy a house. A lot of times they've already identified a house, but sometimes they haven't, which is totally fine. And then, so we have a preliminary conversation about why they want to move, a little bit about their employment, everything like that, but I don't really get into the nuts and bolts until we see the application.
Yep.
And then after that, I'll send them the application, introduce them to my assistant, Amy, who's great. She's been doing it longer than me. She knows her stuff. And from there, they fill out an application. We do a soft credit check just to initially make sure everything looks good. And then we typically run scenarios on either the house that they're interested in or a general price range based off the area that they're looking, things like that. And then that's like really the meat and bolts of the meat and bones of the mortgage pre-approval process. From there, we verify all their documentation, but we're not, we're basically doing it in anticipation. Yep. The worst thing you can do, which happens a lot, is you find a house first. And you might be really well qualified, but still, like, do you really want to fill out a mortgage application, deal with me asking you for documents, deal with you want to have all that done ahead of time.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good segue into you and I were talking about this, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where, of course, I'm not going to drop any names or anything like that. I want to maintain the privacy of people out there. But I recently had a client that I was, in my mind, very politely kind of nudging them to get that pre-approval. And I just know how quick houses can come and go. Not just in Bucks County, but all throughout the country in these hot areas such as Bucks County. And I've seen too much heartbreak on the face of my buyers where we go see a house first day on the market and then offers are due that night or maybe the next day. And, even if it's not a weekend, it might be a Wednesday and the banks are open, but it's already enough pressure as a buyer to have me send them, 7 or 8 different documents that it takes to make an offer. And I'll go through all those documents probably in a separate podcast, but to have them not be pre-approved at that very moment, I think it's undue stress. So my process is, whether I just met the buyer or whether it could be a friend of mine that I've been working with for a year and maybe their pre-approval expired. And it's out of love and it's out of knowledge of the business that if you don't have that financial backing, even if you're cash and you don't have your proof of funds in order, I literally cannot make an offer for you. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say to the listing agent to show your worth and to show your strength without proper documentation. So, I had a buyer recently that took it as, kind of like undue pressure. And in fairness to them, maybe I was a little bit pushy, but it's all for the greater picture of helping them find their dream home.
Right.
I pray they come back to me and understand that I was just doing it out of my own knowledge of the business, but that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So
listen, we've all seen people get burnt on a not fully validated pre-approval, right? Like people, we see it every day. Like people hand out pre-approval letters like they're hotcakes, but a piece of paper doesn't mean anything if we didn't do our actual job. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna fire out pre-approvals with my name on it to everyone in the area and have deals fall apart because we work with a lot of people in the area. So that's why I think we've had a lot of success is when people see my name on a pre-approval, they probably know that it's not going to fall through. Yeah. And they can talk to me. We've talked on the phone a lot of times. Like half the time we know them already. So like it goes a long way when, like I think Warren Buffett said, it takes like however long to make a reputation and 5 minutes to blow it. Like that's true. And we don't lay our neck on the line for one deal or a couple deals. Like when we're given a pre-approval letter, they've been pre-approved. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you got $5 million in the bank. Like it means that we've seen your financials and you're pre-approved to buy a house. And that's also huge from a realtor, from a real estate agent's point of view. If I have a buyer that, hopefully they're using you. I mean, I recommend Mark to everybody. And, there no agent, and it's extremely unethical. We can't, force a buyer to use a specific lender or a specific title company or whatever. We can recommend to them, and it's up to them if they want to shop it around and, do all that. But I always stress that reputation is everything. Just like for a real estate agent, the second my reputation gets shot, I'm finished. And if I'm not finished, it could take me years to recoup whatever I lost because of a bad review, or maybe I was negligent in something and ruined a deal for somebody, which, knock on wood, I've never done, but, reputation is key. And whenever I submit an offer with your name on it, which has been most of my buyer deals that have a mortgage, I mean, we've probably done 50 or 60 deals over the past 8 years. Yeah, for sure. So I can't tell you how many times a listing agent has said, oh, I know Mark, or, I don't know Mark, but I know Movement, and Movement is a cut above the rest. And that is such a huge thing for my buyers, not only making a qualified offer with their, purchase price, deposit, inspections, appraisal, like all the things that go into a settlement date. Having a trusted lender that the listing agent also knows can hammer it home to the finish line it's invaluable. It's something that is extremely hard to find, and I think you and I found that with each other. So I think that's maybe like talk about like your process. So like if I connect you with a buyer, so it goes to your team, and they kind of do all the behind the scenes stuff. So everybody will talk to me first, always. I mean, it's important that they talk to me, put a face to the name, because if they don't talk to me, really, then not that I'm somebody special, but like, what's the difference between me and Rocket Mortgage? You're pretty special. You know what I mean? No, I mean, so it's good to get to know them, figure out really why they want to move, kind of big picture stuff, like get to know them. Do they have a family? Do they have kids? Where did they grow up? A lot of times we might have played sports together and we didn't even know, or we played them in sports or something like that. So, or my brothers know them, or a friend knows them. Like, it's a smaller world than it seems. So we get to know them a little bit, and then we get their pre-approval done. Involved in the pre-approval is verifying your pay stubs, your W-2s, all that stuff. We do have a lot of different technology these days that sometimes allows us to avoid that. We have files now that have no income documents or no appraisal. which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're fully verified and backed by Fannie Mae, but we got instant income verification from their bank statements, and we got an appraisal waiver. So, we always go through worst case scenario, what documents we need up front. That way, when we give the pre-approval letter, like I said before, they're fully pre-approved. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, God forbid, unless they lose a job or something. But all of that's ironed out so that when you call me, hey, they're going to submit an offer, and I call the listing agent, hey, I can have you a loan commitment in a week. We can close in 3 weeks. I'm not bullshitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's done. We need title and appraisal if we need one, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I can't say that unless we can do that.
Yeah, no, because it's just like my reputation, it's your reputation. Like, I'm putting your reputation out there as well. If I send a pre-approval and you call the listing agent, or the listing agent calls you, and you say something that might seem a little bit off or fishy, the next, maybe there's another realtor, or maybe it's me again with the same listing agent. Like, I remember that guy, Mark, he told me some BS reason as to why his buyer can beat a cash buy. It's like, so that's, again, it all comes down to reputation. It comes down to, just other agents knowing exactly what you and I as a tandem can do for our client. And it goes so far. And I think, and I'm always trying to tell buyers, like, a lot of them are nervous, especially the first time home buyers. They don't understand like what goes into the process, what can they afford, how much paperwork's involved. And I really just try to simplify it to them and say, listen, again, it's just a recommendation. There's no benefit to me financially, which is true. There's no financial benefit for you to use my guy, but here's what he's done for me in the past. I trust him. He's a phone call away, a text away, an email away, unless he's on his honeymoon in the next month or so.
It's the only time I'll ever be away.
Honestly, the guy's going to respond on his honeymoon. I'm not sure what Dana's going to think about
Might
that.
be the shortest marriage of all time.
But it's just, that is such an important thing. But I always try to tell him, listen, I'll connect you via email or over the phone. He sends you an application. It doesn't take that long. You start getting more into the documentation once you get into the underwriting process, and maybe you can chat about what that process is like.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say too, like, not everyone gets that pre-approval right away either. Like, there is, a good third or probably a third to half of our pre-approvals don't get approved right away. It's hard to qualify for a house with the prices where they're at, the rates higher. So if that is the case, like, it's not like we just say, good luck, see you later. Yeah. Like, we'll try to either set yourself up to buy within the next year or two, or if you need a cosigner, or if there's debts that you can pay down, or, if let's say you're a doctor and you're going to start a job at a certain time, like, we'll help you try to navigate that. We have people that we pre-approved 5 years ago that just are closing this month or closing last month. Like, it's a long process. Yeah. Sometimes it's a quick one. Sometimes we work with someone for 2 weeks from the day we talk to them to the day they close. Yeah. Sometimes it's 5 years. But like, it's important that whenever it is, that when we give that pre-approval letter, it's accurate, because those people that didn't qualify, those are often our most raving fans, because we stuck with them. We helped them, we helped them qualify. So that's an important note too. But what was the other question? Underwriting?
Yeah, I guess so obviously getting pre-approved is one thing, submitting the application, figuring out, what their budget is. Movement might say, hey, you're pre-approved up to $1 million with 20% down or whatever. Here's your rate, here's your closing costs, all that good stuff.
Right.
But, so that gives me as a realtor enough with just having the pre-approval to submit a legitimate offer.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, if you're a buyer that is not pre-approved, I don't care if you offer $300,000 over asking price and you say you can put down 50% on the mortgage. If I don't have a valid pre-approval, your offer is in the trash. It is not valid. No self-respecting listing agent is going to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I got this great offer. It's blowing everyone else out of the water, but they need until Tuesday. It's Sunday, and they need until Tuesday to get their lender to respond to them.
Right.
The house will be under contract before that lender even opens his mouth.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just like the underwriting process.
Yeah.
Like that's more like the nitty gritty, like documentation type stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So it all really boils down to what you have, what your funds are, what your assets are. What is it? Savings? Is it checkings? Do you have brokerage accounts? Do you have equity in houses? And then what your debt to income ratio looks like. Those are the two main strings that you can pull for a mortgage application. Debt to income being really important. We look at your gross income versus your monthly debts on paper. So this doesn't include, Bombas tacos on your credit. Oh, if you bought it on a credit card, it does include it, but it doesn't.
Bamba.
It doesn't include
So
little
good.
stuff. You know what I mean? It includes car payments, student loans, mortgage payments, anything that's tied to your credit report, tied to your social security number. That's what is going to be registered for your debt to income ratio. So we look at that, and that's, that helps us determine your price range. We don't normally give like this is your max amount because it's so dependent on taxes and other things, but we try to figure out where are the buyers, what do they want to spend?
Like, what do they want their monthly payment to be? Like,
what are they
things
comfortable
like
spending?
Yeah.
Sometimes people can be pre-approved for way higher than they're buying in.
Yeah.
Like we just pre-approved the client for $900,000 and they just went under contract yesterday for $490,000.
Yeah.
So they're being smart. They were like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "You're being smart.
Yeah.
You can be approved for way higher, and maybe you do that down the line, but don't be a cowboy.
Don't leave
about
yourself like house poor.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of unexpected costs when you buy a house. All that stuff you did to your house, built to fix it up. Like that, it adds up, and utility bills. My Pico bill was $560 last month.
Don't get me started on at Pico. If you're watching,
we got your number.
Call me. I think the whole, I always go into it, a lot of my business, is through my Zillow advertising. This is the first year where, I've only been doing the advertising for almost 3 years now, but this year I'm really starting to get, a lot more, referrals are flying in, past clients, friends and family, so that, the advertising will start phasing out. But the reality is a lot of my clients right now, they don't know me. I don't know them. That the call comes in. I tell them who I am. I ask them what they're looking to do. We set up some showings, but it is such, just like I mentioned at the outset, it's like, or the onset. Well, you can probably edit that one out, but the outset or the onset, whatever the hell it is.
Onset.
The biggest thing, the biggest thing for me, obviously I need to prove my knowledge of the business from a realtor's perspective, what are the house prices looking at like in the market? What's the inventory? What's in the area? Things like that. How to make an offer, but again, like having that real estate agent, mortgage broker. It's just, if you don't have that relationship, you're relying on your buyer to already have somebody in their back pocket that they can go to. And listen, is it hard to go call a bank to get pre-approved? No, but I come fully loaded with a lender contact. I have home inspectors. I've got everything they need to get from start to finish. And again, I've had plenty of clients that use whoever they want. Their brother's a lender or whatever. But again, like this relationship between us in the business world is like, it's helped me immensely. And I can tell you, I've been involved in, if anyone who's a Bucks County realtor right now, especially in New Hope, Doylestown, Newtown, Yardley, like this whole area, there are so many bidding wars. There's multiple offers left and right. And most buyers are still a mortgage. You have your cash offers that fly in, and like those are tough to beat. But again, like this relationship from a business standpoint is so huge. Yeah. And again, we've been through so many situations. I don't know if there's any deals that we can talk about that we were trying to talk about it before we came on the air. But
we've been through countless ones, but I mean, we try to limit them now because doing a lot of the upfront underwriting has helped. Yeah. But there's always stuff that'll come up. We had that one real unique property in New Hope it was like an old barn that was it refinished into a house? I
think it was built in like the 1800s or something, and it was refinished and updated like back in like the 70s or the 80s, but still it was basically a converted barn.
Yeah, so that's a unique situation that like, if you go to buy that house with a pre-approval letter from U.S. Bank, the listing agent is going to want to know that the bank knows what kind of property it is. But yeah, for that unique property in Newtown or New Hope, you just want to know, like the buyer wants to have confidence in, if it comes in low, what are his options? We had a jumbo loan. It was 20% down for that program he was in. So like, what are his options if it comes in low? Yeah. And I never seen it before, but Jason's client, I never seen a client offer somebody Eagles tickets. This guy offered Jason 2 tickets to the Eagles Cowboys. I never seen anything like that. So he must be doing something right. But what he normally does, I think that really sets him apart, is Jason doesn't try to do everything on his own. Like I see realtors that we pre-approve the client and we don't hear from them until they're already under contract. Well, what'd you use for an estimate? Oh, I just used Bright. But Bright doesn't know what the rates and the mortgage insurance and the different loan programs are. And sometimes they're way off. Sometimes they're way high. So like, you know, do what you're really good at. Like Jason's really good at finding houses for clients, figuring out where they want to live, what they want to spend. But he knows he's not a title agent. He's not going to run title work. He's not a mortgage lender. He's not going to quote rates. He's not an insurance rep. He doesn't quote insurance. Sometimes they're very unique for specific houses. So I think it's important that the reason, and I think a big reason that we've had a lot of success is we both know what we're good at, and we tag team it. You know, don't try to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
We stay in our lane, but collaborate at the same time, which is huge.
Yeah, yeah. So. I think that's really important. I think when I see the realtors and the mortgage lenders that are killing it, that's what they're doing. You know, they're feeding off each other. They're staying in their lane. They're not trying to do everything at once. They're not trying to be a licensed realtor and a licensed loan officer or whatever. You know what I mean? It's two separate jobs.
I don't want any part of being a licensed mortgage broker.
I would be a terrible realtor. You know, I'm serious. I would be a terrible realtor. I'm a math guy.
Yeah.
Like I like numbers. I like math. I like figuring out ways that math makes more sense. Yeah. That's just what I've always been good at. I was terrible at English. I was good at math.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I stay in my lane. He stays in his, and
it all works out great. And I think, you know, with, you know, regarding like home prices and like interest rates and things like that. So I constantly, usually it's like the first question a buyer will say, hey, can you run the comps on this neighborhood? Or, you know, obviously they know that I'm not a home appraiser, but, you know, can I run comps? Yes. Obviously a house like the Barn in New Hope, that's very tough for me to run comps on. If it's like a one-off sort of thing, I can try and base it off like price per square foot. I can try to find, you know, there's plenty of barns in Bucks County, so I can find other stuff that I can give a general idea if this thing is grossly overpriced or maybe it's underpriced or maybe it's spot on. I can find that out. But, you know, if it's like a townhome or a colonial home in a neighborhood, all 50 homes in the neighborhood are exactly the same, I can give them a good idea. But, you know, buyers are always asking, hey, is it still a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? Is it trending one way or the other? Is there movement? Are the prices ever going to come down? Like, what's going on with interest rates? And I'll you know, kind of like staying in our lane, I'll comment to the best of my ability on like home prices, because that's my world. Right. Home prices aren't necessarily your world. When they start getting into the rates, you know, I can say, you know, like, listen, they've been trending in 6.5 to 7% over the past 6 months or whatever it's been. You know,
down today though.
Yeah, they're down today. Yeah, they're down. But like I always say, listen, I'd love to connect you with my lender. Let him explain it to you. You know, rates can depend on your credit score, your debt to income, your how much you're putting down, your qualifications. So, you know, maybe just touch on what rates have been doing. I'm not sure if you have a crystal ball as to what rates are what rates are gonna do. And maybe just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So it's funny, like you said, that people will ask, well, when we talk to clients, they'll be like, do you think it's a good investment, all the time? And I'm like, dude, you got to talk to your realtor. Like, I can't give you investment advice. I can advise you on what to do with the mortgage, but I don't know how the neighborhood's going to appreciate. Like, don't come call me in 5 years if you don't think it was. You know what I mean?
Hey, my house is worth $100,000 less 5 years later.
Highly unlikely.
Which is very rare in Bucks County, which is why you should move to Bucks County.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to rates, like what we've seen basically is this morning we locked a few people at 5.99%, which is incredible. From in the last week, they've come down. They're comfortably into the low sixes, high fives right now, which is huge. I mean, on a $500,000 house, going from 7 to 6%, you're talking about almost $300 a month less. Yeah. So that could be you can now have more purchasing power to buy a higher house or to buy a higher purchase price, or your payment went down at that same purchase price. So, you know, either way, it's positive for buyers. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be doing mortgages. I'd be on a beach somewhere in the Bahamas. And
Mark and I would have bought an island somewhere if we could. If I could predict exactly what home prices are going to do, and he could predict interest rates, we would have bought one of the islands in the Bahamas or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I think the general outlook is rates do seem to be coming down. I think inflation is coming down more than they thought. And also, all these jobs reports that were coming out saying the country as a whole was creating 200,000, 150,000 or 150,000 jobs. They've all been revised down to like negligible numbers, sometimes even negative. So the report came out a couple months ago. It said 114,000 jobs. Then it revised down to 11,000. Now it's negative. Yeah. So like when it comes out initially, that report, 114,000 jobs in 1 month, that the economy looks great. The rates go up then. And so when the revisions happen, they're after the fact. We're already waiting for the next report. So it has less of an impact. But what's happened is it's been the pattern for the last 3 or 4 months. So the market's catching on and the Fed's catching on. And basically it's starting to look like things are trending down, which we don't root against the U.S. economy. I'm a consumer myself. Like, we don't want rates to come down for the sole purpose of the economy has to be bad.
Yeah.
Usually when rates come down, it's because something else doesn't look so great in the economy. When rates are going up, it's when everything else is going up. Stock market. The only one time that there was that flipped was COVID.
Yeah.
When stocks went nuts and rates came down. But that was a lot different because you had government intervention and all kinds of different things at play. But typically when rates are coming down, it's because either the economy's cooling down, inflation's coming down. Those aren't bad things, but you don't want to wish for, I don't even want to say 9/11, 2 days before 9/11. You don't want to wish for a bad event to happen for rates to come down.
No, it's true.
You know
it's
what
true.
I mean?
I mean, it's like, and I think that, regarding the rates, another question buyers are always asking, it's like, okay, well, let's just call it 6.25%. So if the rates are 6.25%, right, 6.25%, the buyer might say, listen, you just showed us our dream home. The rate's 6.25%. Is this a good investment? But my response is, listen, you can't predict what the rates are going to do next month, 6 months from now. Like, the rate's 6.25% now. Maybe it is 7% again in April. Maybe it's 5.25%. Like, you don't know what it's going to be. I always tell buyers to have the mindset of, did you find the right home? Yes or no? Okay, the answer is yes. You just found your potential dream home. Are you okay with the monthly payment at 6.25%? Are you okay with the cash to close? Can you go to sleep tonight after I submit your offer being excited and not nervous? If you go to bed tonight being nervous about the financials, I don't care if it's the most beautiful home you ever saw. Maybe you should wait for the rates to come down or adjust your price range.
Right.
Because you don't want to be house poor. It's the excitement of the new home is eventually going to wear off and reality is going to kick in.
Yep.
And so I always tell them, if you're comfortable with the rates right now, you're comfortable with the cash, your monthly payment, make the offer. Make as strong enough offer as you can. Go to bed excited. You know you made the right move. And you can always refinance in the future. Just like my rate's 6.99 from literally over 2 years ago.
Not for long. We're going to get him down.
I need to refinance. But so for me, I'm a great example. I couldn't stand the rate. I hated the 7% rate 2 years ago. But Krista and I found a home that we love, bought the home, and as soon as the rate hits 5.75% or whatever, I'm going to refinance.
And they went up for a while. They went up to almost 8%.
Yeah. So I ended up. So if I bought it 6.99%, if I waited maybe another few months, I might have been 7.5 or 8 or whatever. So, so it's just one of those things where you find the right property and you're ready to buy. And if you're one of those if you're a buyer out there and you're sitting there saying, let's just keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the rate to drop and drop and drop. And it's just, you could be waiting for another 5 years to find what you think is the perfect rate.
Yep.
Find the perfect home, be comfortable with your finances and fire up and go for it.
Well, they say, so every 1% drop in rates is equivalent in affordability to a 10% drop in price.
Yep.
So the problem is, as rates come down, I think the number is like 5 million buyers enter the U.S. housing market for every 1% drop in rates.
Okay.
So like, as we're doing this podcast, rates just dropped the last couple of days. 3/4 of the people out there don't follow the mortgage and the real estate world like us. They don't even know rates have fallen because it hasn't even hit the headlines yet. So
they'll know as soon as this podcast drops.
When they do, like, you're just introducing a ton more buyers to an already oversaturated buyer's market. Yeah. And those drops in interest rates are quickly overtaken by increases in either bidding wars or purchase prices going, or sales prices going up, whatever it is. So don't be the person that is waiting too long, and now all of a sudden the $500,000 house that we're going to buy is $550,000 or $600,000 because you wanted a lower rate.
Yeah,
like, history has shown, and I don't say this from a salesy point of view. You've never once heard me say it's a good or a bad time to buy. I think it's always a smart time to buy if it's good for you. But history has shown, like, you won't go wrong by buying. Yeah. It's very rare that you made a bad investment based on price.
Yeah, and as I mentioned probably in the last podcast, where, like, I think we focus, Matt and I focused more on like Bucks County and different areas of the county and what it's like to live here. But this area is such a great area to just continue to appreciate and value. And again, listen, could there be something in 5 or 10 years that happens to the country or the world and things go crazy? Like, yeah, none of us can predict that. Again, we'd be retired if we could. But generally speaking, this is such a safe, awesome area to always have that appreciation. So yeah, if you're ready to buy, I would just jump on it. And another question that I keep getting is, okay, well, if the rates drop, what's that going to do to the home prices? And I guess fortunately for buyers, the rates coming down that's obviously a good thing for the buyer. The rates dropping, I think, is going to get the sellers to become more aggressive again. So like you said, I might be listing a house for $500,000 as a purchase price maybe 3 weeks ago. If that same seller comes to me in October and the rates are 5 3/4, we might be listing that thing at $550,000 because, obviously as a buyer agent, I represent the buyer. I have their best interest in mind always. But if I'm a listing agent and I'm advising my seller, I might be saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the rates are low. The buyers have more spending power. So maybe we can inflate the price again. So I think it's
but I think too,
kind of like a vicious cycle in a way.
Yeah. I think too, like as the rates do come down, like there will be more people selling. So hopefully, like what it would be nice to see is more of a balance where people don't have. I mean, I was on a call on the way here, $90,000 over asking price lost. Yeah, waived everything. It's tough. It's still really tough out there. So like, I think as rates come down, I think so many. Basically, baby boomers are locked into their house. I mean, baby boomers own the majority of the real estate in the country, and they for good reason they don't want to move because their house that they basically have paid off, it might be too big for them. But why would they downsize for a higher payment? It doesn't make sense. I would never do that either. Yeah, you can't blame them. So as the rates start to come down for even those sorts of people that want to move down, like that will free up our age group going after those houses that they are sitting on. You know what I mean? And there's basically I feel like the first time buyer price point now is like 500,000-600,000.
Yeah, because it probably used to be like 300-400.
Two,
yeah, even less. Yeah.
But like that price point has basically become all investors now because our generation has rented for a while and now in their mid 30s or even low 40s are starting to buy their first house. So you're basically, it's all that pent up demand the entire time. People haven't owned a house. Like now those people are going after the houses that first time buyers are going after. And that's where, to me, like the $500,000 to $700,000 range, like it's tough. You got to be ready. Like that's the majority of our buyers. So we see it every day. And like, that's why I'm so hard on getting pre-approved, getting everything done. Like you're putting yourself in a bad spot if you don't.
Yeah. And I always tell, and again, like not to harp on it too much, but the one buyer I was talking about that I would love to hopefully still work. If you're watching, I'd love to work with you again.
Come back
to the Wolf Den. No, and I was reading back through my text messages to them, and I remember I was with them in person, 2 or 3 different times, and looking back on it, maybe I was a little bit too pushy. And listen, they have every right to feel a certain way about being pushed to do something that maybe they weren't ready for. And I think a lot of buyers have the mentality of, I'm not going to get my financing in order, even if it is cash. I'm not going to get my financing in order until I find the right home. And that the house that kind of brought up this situation with the buyers that I'm referring to, there was a house listed in Doylestown. Honestly, it's probably under contract right now. It got listed. Saturday was the first day, listed at $1.35 million. I'm pretty sure this thing went 200,000 over asking price. I went to the open house with another buyer of mine who didn't end up offering on it, but it was a mob scene. So if you're not, again, locked and loaded, and offers were due yesterday at noon. So yeah, the listing agent is not going to wait for you. So I feel like the demand is there. Home prices are they're gonna fluctuate up and down. As a listing agent, I'm gonna advise my sellers not to get. You don't want to get too greedy because you are seeing, and any agent who's watching me right now, they can attest to this. You see price drops left and right. You see houses coming back on the market, whether it's for inspections or whether, it might have been an appraisal issue. Mm-hmm. The buyers, if you're a buyer out there, the buyers are getting a lot more power.
They are, yeah.
Which is, we're talking about mortgages, so it's obviously great for the buyer's point of view. But again, the rates coming down, great for the buyer. but the sellers are going to start to get their aggression back and they might start to hold the cards again. So, but I think with more inventory, again, you'll get more sellers that have been locked into a 2.5%, 3% rate. Like, yeah, they don't want to go to a 5.5% or 6% rate, but it's more manageable.
Right.
So now they might be saying, okay, well, we really do want to move. The rate's never going to hit 3% again, or even probably 4%. Let's just make the move now. The rate's in the high fives. Let's just get things going. So the inventory is going to pile back in. So yeah, things might start to balance back out again.
Balance out. Yeah. Which will be a good thing overall.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it made deals easier when people waived inspections.
Yeah.
But like from a mortgage point of view, like, and I'm sure from a realtor point of view, it's hard to suggest that, knowing what could be wrong with the house. And like we see, I mean, we had the one clients that was great. They were under contract 3 times, which God bless
I know
them.
you're watching. We're not going to mention your name, but hey guys,
We love you guys. And they stuck with it. They had very specific wants, and they had a couple issues with septic on 2 different properties. And because Jason didn't advise his clients wrong, and instead they had more bargaining power to get inspections, they were fine. They got their deposit back. They closed on a house a couple weeks ago. Everything went fine. They're happy. So like they didn't have to give their firstborn child and you know, whatever to buy a house, which unfortunately still does happen sometimes. It's weird though. Like, why do some houses have price cuts and others have bidding wars?
So I can tell you. So I maybe actually their kids are definitely watching. Hey guys, so I have a listing in Holland right now that's under contract. And when I first listed, it's your standard 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2,600 square foot colonial home, built in the 70s, I think. And I was in my mind, and you never want to be too cocky or arrogant as an agent, so you try to keep the ego in check. But as a listing agent, you're biased about your listing. You think you're priced right. And I still think we were priced right, but for whatever reason, this awesome home for a family or for whoever in Council Rock School District just sat on the market for, I think it was like 6 or 7 weeks until we started getting offers. And I did probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 open houses. The open houses were crowded. For whatever reason, we weren't getting offers. We lowered the price one time from like $743 down to $729. And then we started getting offers. I ended up getting the buyer, so I had both sides of the deal. But it just took a while. And it just, certain houses, for whatever reason, take weeks to sell. And there's not, you're priced right. The house presents well, great neighborhood, great school district.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you haven't found the right buyer. Then you see other houses where you're like, actually, I'm not going to mention the address, but I have another listing right now where I'm like, oh, this thing is going to take 6 weeks to sell. Within 2 or 3 days under contract.
Yeah.
With an asking price offer. We're right out of the gate. So
sometimes you just get lucky. Sometimes it's just a bad break.
Sometimes you'll list a house and like your perfect buyer just happens to be perusing the MLS or looking on Zillow, or their agent, who hopefully is very diligent, sent it to them and you catch them. Other times, I have a beautiful listing and they're watching as well. I have a lot of viewers. I'm going to shout you guys out. I have a listing in Alexandria Township in New Jersey. Stunning home, almost 5,000 square feet, beautiful, over 5 acres of land. And it's been on the market for 2 or 3 months. We cut the price once. We might be doing it again. And it's just like a funky style. So you'll eventually get that right buyer. So you never know like how long a buyer is going to have. But again, like I think we've been doing this we're probably coming up on some time here. But at the end of the day, my job as a realtor is to make sure my buyer has exactly the tools they need for me to make that offer. I don't care how good I think I am at writing offers or how much I can advise somebody on purchase price, deposit, settlement date, inspections, appraisal, escalation clauses, all these things that you can use, paying for the seller's transfer tax, like all these things. If they don't have that pre-approval from a guy like you, if they're not a cash buyer, they are absolutely screwed before they even walk in that door.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't come off as pressure. I hope it comes off as love for my job and love for my client, helping them achieve something that should be the most exciting thing in their life. And then that's where that's having a lender like you is just huge. So I think maybe just kind of bringing this to a close here, like just, explain, just like a couple different things as to why you love your job and like just like the joy you get seeing clients get to that closing table.
Yeah. I mean, I think I see where people would be hesitant at first. They don't know me until you introduce us a lot of times. So like they might not want to be, they're probably not chomping at the bit to give some random person their financial information. Yeah. But when they do and they speak to us and they realize the importance of it, and then we can let them know that, hey, your offer was accepted out of 12 offers. Yeah. And, you know, Mark told them you could close in 2 weeks, everything's done. Then they start to like you pretty quick.
Yeah. And they know like we're human. We're not like robots.
Right.
Like we're real people.
Right.
That care about
there's a point to it. We don't want to have to, you know, annoy people for documents, but we would rather annoy you for documents than tell you that you can't be approved 3 weeks before closing or whatever it is. So, you know, that's all part of it. But yeah, I love it, man. I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years. I was in the beer business before this, and it was fun, but it wasn't as exciting as this. Like I feel like I didn't have any impact on people's lives. And, you know, with this, like I said, the average loan officer's in their 50s. Like I started at a bank. My first job.
What are you, 23?
I'm 33. My first job, I wore
33, 43, taking over the world. So
I wore a suit every day to a bank. It was a great bank, but great people there. But I just learned, like, I was like, you know what? Like, I love this business and I think I could be good at it, but I'm not a stuffy banker type. Yeah. Like, I want to be at a company that, you know, has more programs than a bank, has opportunities to do certain things like DSCR loans or jumbo loans or any kind of loan under the sun. Movement
VA, you guys do
every
everything.
VA, like, you know, we service a lot of our loans so we can recast them, like different things like that. So there's just a lot of things that Movement has allowed me to do. And then they help me also like build a team around me. Like I can't do everything at once. I can't come home. Like I probably missed 6 phone calls just sitting here. Like so there's certain things that, you know, it's allowed me to grow. And like, I love my specific role, which is really like talking to buyers and talking to agents and talking to financial advisors. I mean, we're at the point now where about 50% of our business is coming from past clients. Yeah. So like
that's huge.
The way we look at it is I don't want to be introduced to somebody and just do a half-ass job. Yeah. I don't want to have to ask you for a review. I want to wow you, get you so pumped for working with us.
Where they ask me, hey, where can I leave you a review?
Where can I leave you a review? And then I already know they're going to be telling their brother, sister, friend, yo, use this guy. And that's what I'm seeing. Like, I think that's a huge, like, basically, I don't see enough loan officers or realtors doing this. Yeah. People get so caught up looking for their next deal that they forget to take care of the people that they have now. Yeah. And instead of taking care of your people you have now, you're basically preventing future referrals because you're not doing as great of a job because you're so focused on getting the next deal.
Yeah, your reputation's on the line. So when I refer you, it's my reputation based on how you treat my client. And I know every single time that this guy's going to hammer it home. And again, they can only do what the buyer's qualified to do, but it's nonstop. And anyone there's probably at least a few people that I know follow me on social media that are going to see this that are under contract right now. And yes, there's a lot of emails going back and forth, phone calls, stuff that you need to sign and things you need to send to them. But it's not because they want to, it's because they have to. Mm-hmm. And the alternative is you don't get the mortgage commitment and you lose the house. So, stick out the paperwork, stick out the process, trust the process as the Sixers say, or if I think that might be over now.
Maybe it's over.
The process might be dead, but the process for us as a real estate agent and as a lender, that process is crucial. And Mark and myself are top notch at what we do. We know we've done it for a long time now. I feel like we're veterans in this business, even though we're young, and we have an extremely successful track record in number of transactions and the way we handle our business. And we truly hope that, professionally speaking, that gets out there and people start talking about it, because it's not about padding our pockets. It's not about making us known to the world. Mm-hmm. It's about getting you to the finish line. And if that helps you and I get a reputation and get more exposure, then that's great. That's secondary to what we do for our clients. So, so I think that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you're my guy. They're, as long as they give you a shot, they're going to use you more times than not.
You're the man.
And as a real estate agent, this is the most important person that I can work with to help my buyers get stuff done. So, my man, I want to thank you for it, buddy. You.
And thank you, brother. Thank you guys. Appreciate you watching.
Thanks again for coming into the Wolf Den. We're going to chow down on some tacos from Bamba, and we'll see you next time.
You need a realtor in Bucks County, you call this guy, the Wolf.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.